What's up, guys? Element here. So there's this clip that's been going around the internet for the past weekend, and it's Freddie Prinze Jr. going on a rant about Star Wars and the toxicity of the Star Wars fandom, or at least the divisiveness of it all. One half really hates this new trilogy. The other half really loves it. And they can't seem to reconcile the differences in their thought processes and interpretations of the story. And he goes on a huge rant, probably triggered by a lot of the hate from the fans over the years playing Kanan Jarrus, but we're going to react to it. So let's check it out.
So even I get hate from Star Wars fans when I'm like, look, dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you. Right. But that ain't how it works. The first one was for fucking kids. Right. The second three were for different fucking kids. And this one is for kids. You just pissed off that Han Solo gave the fucking Millennium Falcon to a girl. That's it. Because Luke Skywalker's Cinderella. Or Sleeping Beauty, okay? He can talk to things that don't speak English and understands what they're fucking saying. He gets a fairy godfather instead of a fairy godmother who teaches him how to be the best Jedi in the world in no time fucking flat. And everybody, like, I know more about the Force than most people because Dave Filoni taught me and George Lucas taught him. And all these video games have fucked people up on what the Force is. Like, Luke's skill doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses. The Emperor doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses. The Force dictates who wins or loses based on balance. And here's the quick version. I had to explain it to all these people who fucking think they get to decide. In the first fuck, if you want to do this like time-wise, Palpatine, you would say, and Yoda are the smartest two. Palpatine clearly smarter because Yoda was blind to the power of the dark side and the seduction of Anakin. So let's talk about the seduction of Anakin fucking Skywalker for a second. If the Emperor is the smartest dude in the universe and knows that the Force dictates this, if he kills who he sees as a rival, Anakin, then he knows the Force is just going to fucking correct that because the Emperor knows this. These are George Lucas's words, not mine. So fuck you if you disagree. Straight up, this is information, not affirmation time. Straight up, man. So the Emperor knows that. So instead of killing Anakin, what does he do? He seduces Anakin to double the strength of the dark side. So then what does the Force do? It balances us. How? It gives us twins. Luke and Leia. 2 and fucking 2. Balance. And if you look at the movie through just that simple perspective, you will not only know why every single bad guy loses and every single good guy loses, you'll know who's gonna win and lose in the next fucking movies. I can tell you, I just don't want to wreck it. People bitch about the dumbest shit like it's archetype characters. This is George Lucas's words. There is no Jack Bauer in Star Wars. That character doesn't exist. It's not Han Solo. Han Solo's a reluctant hero, okay? He's a reluctant hero. That's the archetype. Darth Maul, where everybody wants to win, and he's everyone's favorite because he looks sick and he's great in the video games.
Does look cool.
Fuck you guys. He's Sisyphus. He is born to fail. Learn your Greek mythology like, I don't know, George fucking Lucas did. He's cursed to roll.
This guy is going at it, man.
Again every single time for eternity. That is Darth Maul's quest.
But he's got a few points.
He knows it. He's just cursed to live that life. Again, not my opinion. George Lucas's. So go fuck yourself if you disagree. You don't get to level up in the Star Wars world. That's a fucking video game. There's no such thing as a gray Jedi. Qui-Gon even says, I turn towards the light because it's there. There's no gray. There's no, that's pretend fan fiction shit, which is cool, but don't try to canonize it because it doesn't work. And I'm never gonna buy it, ever. Star Wars is for fucking kids. Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's incredible.
Ooh. First and foremost, I'm not going to get offended here because I'm pretty sure if you are offended by this rant, you're one of the people who have this kind of uneasy, unrealistic criticism of where they're taking Star Wars. You know, now I do have my criticisms of the new trilogy, but it doesn't extend quite so far as to say, you know, Rey's a Mary Sue and, you know, Luke deserved so much better. You know, I've done my videos on this and I've shared my opinion on The Last Jedi and try to justify the story as they're telling it and not the story as I want it to happen. But in any case, Freddie Prinze Jr. makes a couple of great points here that I'm going to touch on. And first and foremost, that is with the Force and balance. Now, this is, math, basically. Basic math in the Star Wars universe. We had Anakin, and then we had Sidious. That was bringing imbalance to the Force, with the dark side being a little bit heavy on that side. And with A New Hope, they gave us Luke Skywalker and Leia, and that kind of balanced it out. I saw where he was coming from in that angle. Now, if we look at after Return of the Jedi, with Anakin redeeming himself and killing Sidious, and we have Luke. So, going by his logic, after Return of the Jedi, we have Luke. And he starts his own academy, and he starts training Ben Solo. And the light side would happen to be a little bit heavier on that side now, and we have imbalance. So what happens there? Snoke comes in, but it's still a little bit imbalanced and weighed heavily on the light side. So Snoke turns Kylo, or turns Ben Solo into Kylo, and then Kylo then has to massacre the Academy, which kind of tries to balance things out, but it doesn't. So now there's Snoke, Kylo versus Luke, and he's lost all of his students, and the dark side is finally winning on that front. Now we go to The Force Awakens. The Force gives us Rey. Now, Rey is somebody. We just don't know who she is, and all these people calling her Mary Sue. Listen up, Luke Skywalker, and even Kevin Smith says this, Luke Skywalker didn't even know what a Jedi Knight was, didn't even know what the Force was. He was still strong with the Force, and he had met Obi-Wan Kenobi, and in a matter of years, going from meeting Obi-Wan Kenobi to meeting Yoda and Dagobah, he went to being a Jedi Master. Now, he is probably the biggest Mary Sue in the universe, but that's besides the point. Rey does have training. I've done many theory videos on this. She's either a Kenobi or a Skywalker, but whatever the case may be, someone is talking to her every time she needs help, and in The Force Awakens, when she closes her eyes fighting Kylo Ren, someone is guiding her. And I truly believe in her past life, when she was abandoned, she had some form of training, and she now is just stumbling upon it as the Force gets stronger and stronger within her. But that's besides the point. We're talking about balance. So now we have Kylo and Snoke versus Rey and Luke. Kylo kills Snoke. Luke dies, saving the Resistance and projecting himself across the universe. So now we have Kylo and Rey. And that theoretically should bring us to balance. So what's going to happen in episode 9? Allegedly, Sidious is coming back, or Palpatine, and that would bring the balance out of whack again. That would be Kylo and Palpatine, or Kylo and Sidious, versus Rey. So someone needs to come back to bring balance to the Force. Now, they're either going to come back, or someone's going to kill Palpatine, or someone's going to kill Kylo, or there's a myriad of outcomes that can happen in episode 9 that could bring the balance to the Force, and it just needs to happen, because right now the dark side is completely overshadowing the light, with Rey being the only ray of light, and I don't think we can count that little kid at the end of The Last Jedi. Another point that I do want to address from Freddie Prinze really quickly is that he's absolutely right about archetypes, Han Solo being the reluctant hero. Everybody plays their role, and it's quite apparent in the Star Wars. It's quite apparent in a lot of the connected universe franchises, and I probably won't go into depth here as it's pretty self-explanatory. The next point I do want to cover is his take on leveling up in Star Wars, and I largely agree with this point. Now, a lot of people will ask you, oh, what about the Padawan, the Jedi Knight, the Jedi Master, the Grand Master, and what Sith Apprentice and Sith Inquisitor and all that? Well, that's all human and social constructs. Anakin Skywalker, born with a strong connection to the Force. Luke, born already strong with the Force. There are a lot of Jedis and Sith throughout history that were just born who are strong with the Force. And he's right, you can't level this up. You can't seemingly add XP to your progress bar and just get stronger and stronger. No, you're kind of born with the innate connection to the Force or midichlorians or whatever, but still, that's a part of you. And these ranks that people are referring to in terms of leveling up, those are all just social constructs that's made by either the Church of the Jedi or the Order versus the Sith. Those ranks are created by the Order and the Sith to kind of assert their training and their level of mastery in their teachings. So, you know, Anakin is just as strong, even stronger than Yoda and all of the Grand Masters in the Jedi Order, but he's a Padawan because he's just training, he's just learning their teachings, he's just learning how to be wise and be a Jedi, and those ranks only explain how much you've gone through the training and how much of the teachings you understand and how much of the teachings you exemplify. And it's the same thing with the Sith. You have the apprentice and then the Inquisitor and all of the ranks in that side of the camp. So theoretically, yeah, you can't level up in the Star Wars universe. You're born with your midichlorian count, or you're born with a strong connection to the Force, and all of those ranks are just social constructs by those groups to determine how much training you've gone through. There are a lot of people in the Star Wars universe that didn't join the Jedi Order or the Sith, and they're just kind of strong with the Force, and they train with lightsabers or they train with something else to use as a weapon, but they're still strong. And they're not a Padawan, they're not a Sith apprentice, they're just their own self, strong in the Force, and they don't need the Order or the Sith. Another example of this is Ahsoka Tano. She left the Order right before she would have become a Jedi Knight. She was a Padawan under Anakin Skywalker. She left the Order, and as seen in the series Rebels, she goes to help the Resistance as Fulcrum, and she's on the level of a Jedi Master. She probably continued her training by herself. She's not officially a Jedi Master or even a Grand Master, but she's able to fight with Anakin in Rebels kind of one-to-one. Now, she probably couldn't have defeated him, but she came out of that alive if you've read the Ahsoka Tano book. But in any case, you know, that's the point, right? There's no ranks or level ups. You know, she was a Padawan when she left the Order, and she continued to grow stronger within her own training, and there was no kind of ranking system outside of that. So, you know, she used her innate abilities and she just honed it and refined it. And you could say that's a little bit of a progression, that's a little bit of a level up. But in terms of the connection with the Force, you know, you're kind of born with it. In any case, that's my reaction to Freddie Prinze Jr.'s rant. I think he was largely correct on a lot of fronts. Honestly, you know, a lot of people who will disagree with him and call him wrong are the people he's talking to. I mean, if you hated The Last Jedi because Rey is a girl or a Mary Sue, and Han Solo gave the Millennium Falcon to a girl, or Luke Skywalker wasn't a Messiah or wasn't a Jesus type character, you know, a lot of these things you'll probably disagree with. Quite frankly, he comes from a very authoritative position. He was taught by Dave Filoni, as he said, who was taught by George Lucas. And quite honestly, I don't have any problems with this rant because I kind of had the same outlook from the beginning as he did. Even though I don't have the information coming from Dave Filoni. Since The Last Jedi, it's been very divisive. We have people who love it, people who hate it, and then there are the people who really just, you know, wish TLJ didn't exist. But in any case, that's my reaction. Good job, Freddie Prinze Jr. I thought you were largely correct on all fronts. And yeah, that's my reaction. We'll see you guys next one.